Yes, we. Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us live and getting ready for our Monday Night Football preview. I know kickoff's about to start here real quick, so just wanted to go ahead and give you a breakdown for those of you that are tuning into the game tonight. And also, we're going to recap what's happened this weekend, and then we're going to give you the top 5 fantasy scorers of each position this weekend. So let's kick it off real quick before the game starts, and so you guys can get our take on Monday Night Football, Raiders against the Saints. So the first key fact, Las Vegas Raiders now are, in my opinion, are officially the Las Vegas Raiders. They're playing their first home game in the new town and in a brand new stadium. The Saints are looking to bounce back this week in their rushing attack. It got held back by Tampa last week to a total of the whole team had a carry total of 34 attempts for 82 yards, 1 touchdown, and only 2.4 yards per carry. Alvin Kamara just by himself was held to only 12 attempts, 16 yards. He got a touchdown, but it was only 1.3 yards per carry. So keep in mind that the Raiders did play Christian McCaffrey last week. They still gave up 30 for the team to the Panthers, 30 attempts, 128 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on a 4.3 yards per carry. And then CMC, he hung 23 carries, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the grounds. So the Saints have a chance to get the running game back on track against the Raiders, since the Raiders did drop that much stats to the running game of the Panthers. So I would look for them to have some faith in Kamara, especially with that extension, and try to pound Latavius Murray in there a little bit more. Really get back to form and get that running game, get that attitude back on them. Now, granted, Tampa did hold the Saints to a very good or very bad rushing game, and the Saints did that to them as well. But we'll discuss that later. But as far as the Raiders are concerned with their ground game, it couldn't have been more stellar, racking up a team total of 31 attempts for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs himself getting 25 of those attempts for 93 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he actually outplayed Christian McCaffrey on the ground, which is a big statement. However, the Saints did hold strong against Tampa, against the Tampa offensive run game. That, granted, they look strong this week with 2 of their running backs combining for 3 touchdowns, I believe. But in week 1, they held Tampa to 26 carries, 86 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3.3 yards per carry. So that begs the question: was it the Saints' dominant talent that held Tampa's rush game intact, or was it that they just caught Tampa on an off week because it was their first game? I think this game will be a great determining factor about the defenses of both of these teams as far as how they handle the run and how they handle the pass. We just discussed the run and how both teams struggled against it at times, were great against it at other times, and then also are able and as far as the Raiders are concerned, are able to run it too. So that's going to be the determining de facto tonight as far as how well their defenses hold up against the run. The passing game for both teams is actually kind of in the same situation. Passing-wise for the Raiders, Carr posted very decent numbers against a not-so-good defense. He had 22 completions on 30 attempts for 239 yards, 1 touchdown. But his rating was 107.5, which is pretty efficient. most importantly, he did spread the ball out a lot to a lot of different people. He didn't focus on one person. He's getting a lot of people in the mix. But now he has real competition with the Saints defense that held Tom Brady to 2 interceptions, 1 pick six, and a 78.4 QB rating. So we'll see how it goes as far as how Derek Carr is going to go against the Saints because they do have a legitimate defense. But like I said, Derek Carr did spread the ball out a lot, so I think that's important. So the Saints can't have one focus point being the run or the run or the pass, or just in passing in general, one specific person like Darren Waller or someone like that. Being the focus for the defense. It's important for the balance. Now, unfortunately, onto the Saints passing offense, but there is good and bad news to it. The bad news first, number one, obviously, Michael Thomas is out. Number two, Breeze got held by Tampa to only 18 completions on 30 attempts, 168 yards, I believe, or 160. Sorry, 2 touchdowns, and he got a 96.5 QBR, which is decent, but it's not Drew Brees. And they can't win big games or close games without a running attack if Drew Brees is going to have those types of numbers. If he's going to have those types of numbers, granted it's high efficiency and it's 2 touchdowns, but they're not winning shootouts against Atlanta or anything like that. They need the running help if Drew Brees is going to be throwing like that. So I expect them to try to get that passing game up. Yeah, I think it's important to do it without Michael Thomas being on the field so they can get more respect for the rest of their wide receivers. So when Michael Thomas does come back, they're worried about Emmanuel Sanders and they're worried about Traquan Smith and all of them. I believe in Jared Cook and all those people. So that'll open up Michael Thomas when he does come back. But the good news is,
I personally believe you'll see a different Drew Brees tonight. That first game, I think it was just kind of like we've talked about many times. It was just it's preseason basically.
Yeah. The good news is the Raiders gave up last week to Teddy Bridgewater 260 yards, a touchdown, and almost the perfect passer rating, and 98.9. So if there is some exploitation with Alvin Kamara out of the backfield or in the slot, Emmanuel Sanders or Jared Cook or Traquan Smith, I believe Breeze will find it and take advantage of it this week. Most important takeaway, that is, one, the Saints showed Alvin Kamara can be dominant on the ground and through the passing game. 2, Breeze needs to improve, and he still needs to be feared without Michael Thomas on the field, because I think now after week 1, people are more worried about Michael Thomas than Drew Brees, when it used to be they were just worried about Drew Brees because he could throw to anybody. So I think he's got the most to prove in this game. As far as my projections, I got Derek Carr at 16 across the board, Josh Jacobs 18 PPR, 17 standard, Devontae Booker, if you're deep and you need a running back, 7 and 7. Hunter Renfrow, I got him at 11 PPR, 9 in standard. And then Henry Ruggs, who looked good last week. He's still not like a heavy part of the game, but he's a great looking rookie. 9 on PPR, 7 in standard. Darren Waller, he is going to be the number 3 ranked tight end this week. According to Pro Football Focus, I got him at 13 in PPR, 10 in standard. So for the Saints, Drew Brees, I'm expecting him to bounce back with 18 points. Alvin Kamara, again, bounced back, 19 in PPR, 16 in standard. Latavius Murray, I have him at 10 points in PPR, 9 in standard, because I think they're going to focus really on the run and getting it back on course, so they're going to be hammering it to him a lot. Emmanuel Sanders and Traquan Smith, I feel like, and Jared Cook, I feel like they're, again, not only they're going to focus on the passing, they're going to focus or on the run, they're going to focus on trying to get the passing on track too. So I'm kind of projecting them all a little bit high, in my opinion. But I wouldn't be surprised if they hit these numbers. So Emmanuel Sanders, I got 13 PPR, 10 in standard. Traquan Smith, 9 in PPR, 7 in standard. And Jared Cook, 12 in PPR, 10 in standard. Just because I feel like Drew Brees needs to make the statement for the people. So there is so the game's already started. So hopefully our predictions start coming true very soon on the Monday night preview. So now on to our next segment, this past weekend in review. As always, I'm going to do the AFC. Drew's going to break down the NFC, and then we're going to give you finally our top 5 producers this weekend in PPR. QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and
defense.
Defense. Yeah, okay, just making sure you got that. All right, cool. All right, so first game we're breaking down, Thursday night game, Bengals versus Browns. What I saw in that game was how a number 1 rookie overall quarterback, that's how everyone imagines their quarterback to be in their second game after they draft him. That's what the Browns hoped Baker would be. Burrow definitely outplayed Baker. He outshined Baker. He embarrassed Baker even though Baker had 2 touchdowns and all that stuff. But Joe Burrow had a game for the ages, if you guys did not know. He not only did he attempt 61 passes, I don't know what the NFL record is for rookies or just veterans in general, but attempting 61 passes in a game, I had to double check that when I saw that, and I thought it was a typo. That's insane. But he completed 37 of those 61, which is a rookie NFL record for most completions in a game by a rookie quarterback. He had 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he is performing at veteran level in this game. Baker, on the other hand, 16 for 23, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception. The Bengals and the Browns still show they're struggling on their defensive sides of the ball, with Chubb and Hunt both finishing within top 10s of running backs this week, despite playing on the same team and splitting carries almost evenly. But there's optimism for the Bengals in their future because of their young team and their talent. Not optimism in their defense, but their offense, obviously. But it also showed that the Browns, they've been rebuilding for a while, and they just still continue to disappoint. So even though the Bengals have kind of, quote-unquote, been rebuilding slowly for a while, and now they're in they officially, with drafting Joe Burrow, kind of went into full rebuild mode to an extent. I feel like the Browns and the Bengals are kind of on the same timeline, maybe on a little bit different spots, but essentially in the same area as far as rebuilding. But it just shows how much better the Bengals are doing it than the Browns. And it all shows, number 1, with the quarterbacks that they drafted. That's for sure. So, and then on to the Bills and Dolphins. So the key takeaway here is Josh Allen, for sure, from this game in general. 2 key takeaways. One of the big ones is Josh Allen. Number 1, he leads the NFL this year in passing yards, despite the fact that everyone, including me, looked at him as a running quarterback, or in general just a mobile quarterback that would get half your stats through the ground, half your stats through the air. 1 running touchdown, 1 throwing touchdown. But obviously with the addition of Stephon Diggs, it's helped not only Josh Allen develop as a better passer, but it's also helped open up John Brown's game, who was good for me personally the past couple of years. But now it's like every week now. I mean, granted, it's only been 2 weeks, but now it's like past 2 weeks he scored, he's shown something. Stephon Diggs overall, it just shows the difference that he brought to that offense. So far, also, Allen's averages per game are 3 passing touchdowns per game, 364.5 yards, 70.4 completion percentage, and 122.9 passer rating. That's his average this year per game. That's insane, especially for Josh Allen, who we thought was more of a mobile quarterback. His stock just shot up in fantasy so much in general. So if you are suffering in some other positions, you do not need the quarterback position, depending on how your league scores. But if it's just standard PPR scoring or standard scoring, if that makes sense, you don't need a phenomenal quarterback to win your league. So Josh Allen's draft stock is shooting up and up and up and up every week. So if you're struggling in wide receivers and running backs and tight end areas, I would offer Josh Allen up. I would serve him up on a platter for a 2-for-1 trade. Just offer him up for one good wide receiver and a good running back. You might go tier 1, tier 2 on one, like get a top tier talent on one and then a second tier talent on the second position. But definitely diversify your investments because you can get a decent quarterback. Get less points than Josh Allen, but increase your overall point total by giving you more points to your running backs and your wide receivers / tight ends, whatever you're wanting your help at. So remember, it's not about individual players' points. It's about your team's total points. So if you have to sacrifice in some positions to gain in other positions, all that matters at the end of the fantasy week is that your team scores more points than the other team. However that happens. So just keep that in mind. Do not be tied down to the name on the jersey, ever. Always be tied down to the stats and the context of the situations. But Josh Allen exposed what was supposed to be the strength of the Dolphins, which is with their passing defense. They're still not where they need to be. Obviously, it's the Dolphins. They get rolled. But the biggest takeaway from the Dolphins is that even though they are in rebuilding mode, they're not doing it just for the sake of laying down. They're doing it by fighting. And the Dolphins are showing so much class and so much respect to the game and to the other teams that they're playing that they're giving teams the best that they can give them and giving them a run for their money. Granted, they're not always showing out every week, but they're trying. I feel like they're trying their hardest, and I think that does deserve some commendation. But I do see Tua starting pretty soon, and I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to see what he's going to do for that offense and how he's going to re-energize that team and see if he's going to be the savior everyone thought that he was going to be. So on to the Steelers and Broncos. Just like we thought, the Steelers defense just ran havoc over the Broncos. Now, granted, the Broncos scored more points than I thought they were going to score. But the Steelers defense, again, showing that it is tops in the league with sacks, pressures, and turnovers that they continue to get. Ben performed well, but definitely fell back down to earth a little bit by missing some of his throws, and he threw an interception. However, Ben took responsibility fully, and he praised his wide receivers in the process, which is what you're supposed to do as a really good quarterback. It's always your fault, not their fault. And those of you, including myself, who doubted James Conner, were humbled this week when he went for 106 yards on 16 carries and 1 touchdown for a shocking 6.6 yards per carry. He completely just caught me by surprise with that. The Broncos lost Locke with a rotator cuff injury. It's not torn. It's strained, I believe, so he's going to be out 2 or 3 weeks from what they say. But they have to, in general, get better at protecting their QBs, because even when their second QB came in total, with both of their QBs, they've been hit 18 times already and been sacked 7 times. So, and Cortland Sutton's out now for the year with an ACL tear. So they're running really thin on who they have, and they can't afford any more injuries and any more mistakes. So they need to tighten up that line to give themselves a chance, because they have good young talent. They have a decent running game, but if they don't have an offensive line that can make it happen for them, there's only so much that talent can do for you. Up next is my favorite game of the week. The Titans going 2-0, and as my shirt says, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo, Ric Flair. And us being 2-0 means we are the team to beat right now in the NFL and in the South Division. But I will say it wasn't all biscuits and gravy with the Titans. There was a little kale in there, if I could make a negative food assumption, or a negative food metaphor, I should say. Sorry. The Titans need to step it up on defense. Even though they won, they allowed 165 rushing yards to the Jags, 339 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. So Minshew did ball out. I was impressed with Minshew on that. I will give him that. Yet again, though, Jeffrey Simmons showing he can fill Jarrell Casey's shoes by helping to get the key stops on the Jags' last 2 drives. One being Simmons tipping a pass to Harold Landry to seal the game with an interception. So we're still young on defense, getting to figure out our roles. So we definitely still need to, quote unquote, tighten it up on defense. But we have the pieces there, and when all the pieces are on the field and when they're playing together and in unison, we can be a dangerous front. And we've shown that the past 2 weeks. We've made key stops on goal lines and on short down situations where we needed key stops. I was disappointed that Derrick Henry only got 84 yards on 25 carries. Usually he's Jacksonville's daddy when it comes to running the ball. I guess if Jalen Smith left, he kind of just lost his affection for running all over the Jags offense, because he really loved running over Jalen Ramsey every time they played each other. So I think he kind of lost his luster. I'm just kidding. The Jags did contain him pretty well. In their context, he did get 84 yards, like I said, on 25 carries. But you can see Jacksonville made it a priority to not continue to let King Henry embarrass them just about every game that they play, because they focus so much on the run. That allowed Tannegoat, which is what I'm now going to call him until otherwise, to allow him to light them up for 239 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Jonnu Smith absolutely dominated and showed why he was a second or third round draft pick a few years ago, deservingly so. This is exactly what I pictured Jonnu Smith doing for us after Delaney stepped away. So very, very impressed with that. Again, like I'm predicting, Corey Davis on a contract year, he's back. He had another touchdown. And he is showing who he really is. And him and Tannehill are really making some strides as far as their relationship now that A.J. Brown's gone. Granted, I want A.J. Brown back as fast as possible so we can have 2 big threats now. But it's good to see Corey Davis being the person that we drafted him to be. So the Jags offense did impress, but they took advantage of for some reason, our defense is just not playing at its best, and they took advantage of that. So, I will give them credit, but I also think it's partly our fault. Vikings versus Colts, point blank, Jonathan Taylor left zero doubt out there about who the number 1 running back is in Indianapolis, even when Marlon Mack comes back. I think Marlon Mack's days as the number 1 back are over sooner rather than later. Hines will go back to his normal place as a spell back and like a passing down back. The Vikings still struggle against a good running back and an offensive line that's good, like the Colts have. And then the Vikings are struggling hard to get good quarterback play, protecting the QB. and to get production out of their passing game in general, just because they're having problems protecting Kirk Cousins. They only scored 11 points. It's hard to get Adam Thielen involved and Jefferson involved and Rudolph involved and Dalvin Cook involved in the passing game if you can't get your quarterback up right. So I think that even Mike Zimmer said that they're terrible. They have a lot to work on. And then that brings us on to the two easiest games to break down: the Ravens and the Texans, and then the Chiefs and the Chargers. So we'll start with the Ravens and the Texans. Point blank, I only have 1 point to make in this. Again, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens showed that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, on both sides of the ball, and they are currently the best team in the NFL after seeing the Chargers take the Chiefs into overtime and allowed the Chiefs to score the fewest points that the Chiefs have scored in this is like one of the lowest 3-game scores the Chiefs have had since Patrick Mahomes took over, or some stat like that. It's interesting as hell. The Ravens are the team in the NFL, second to the Tennessee Titans. That's my only point. Other than that, they've won 14 straight regular season games. The Ravens have. So they're almost 17. Like they're almost a whole season, regular season straight of being undefeated. Granted, it's broken it up into 2 parts, but they're currently 14 straight regular season wins.
Great matchup for them next week.
Yeah,
we'll find out who's the best next week.
We'll find out. So KC and Chargers. Just a few things to take away from that. Justin Herbert, he really impressed. I do not know why the head coach there's some talk saying that Tyrod Taylor, the reason why he didn't start, apparently, like he had some freak chest injury right before the game, non-contact related. I don't know how it happened, but Justin Herbert got the start. Justin Herbert threw over 300 yards. Like he looked great. Yeah, he made some rookie mistakes, but he definitely looked as impressive on your opening day as a last minute, hey, guess what? You're starting in 5 minutes. Get ready. He looked pretty damn impressive, someone that got put in that position. So the fact that there's even talk that Tyrod Taylor may take back over next week is laughable. And if they do that, I just really question their head coach and that whole general management staff in general. So,
yeah, I seen an interview of him talking about, he came and told him right before the game, and it kind of like shocked him, but it was like the head coach said, as soon as he knew he was the guy, that he just rolled with it, and you see how it turned out. So
yeah, I was really impressed with him. It takes a lot, especially number one, you're going against the defending champs.
First ever game against
the defending champs, the reigning MVP, probably the most explosive offense on any given week other than the Ravens. So you could potentially be going into a shootout against Patrick Mahomes, and they did it. They did it, bro. I mean, granted, their defense helped. Defense showed up, forcing the Chiefs into overtime, but so did the offense. The offense showed up too. They both played soundly. Granted, it wasn't a perfect game, but to take the Chiefs to 23 points, well, first hold them to 20, take them to overtime, and make them beat you with a field goal. I feel like that's about as close to a victory and a loss as you can get. It shows also that Butker, I keep wanting to call him Bunker, but Butker, it is definitely shown that he is one of the best kickers in the NFL. And if the Chiefs weren't as complete on all phases, including having a very good kicker, they would have not won this game. It is clearly showed that Andy Reid and that general management staff have put together a complete team. Granted, their defense isn't always great at times, but they do enough when they need to do it, and they have a great special teams. They're solid on that. They have a great field goal unit, and obviously their offense can score. And when you get in the playoffs, when you get in the Super Bowl, like we're seeing with Tom Brady coming back 28 to 3 or whatever, we've seen close games. You have to be sound in all three phases to win the game. And the Chargers just aren't there yet. They're getting close, as you can see. But the more solid team, the more rounded team pulls it out in the end. Granted, it was on a last-second field goal. So give Chargers props for the fight that they put up, especially with Justin Herbert manning the helm. I loved his throws. He was really aggressive. He was more aggressive than Tyrod Taylor is when he throws. Like when he was throwing throwing Hunter Henry open in ways like, dude, you better go dive and catch that ball. Like we're trying to make plays here. We're not trying to just move the ball. I'm not trying to lay a breadbasket. Like we're trying to tear the roof off this house, and I like his attitude. So I'm excited to see his future and his development in the NFL, and I hope he grows into one of those greats. So, but on to Drew. That's it for the AFC, and I will hand over him the NFC. So.
All right. Shout out to my younger brother and my lovely wife, both commenting and watching. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with the Giants and the Bears. The big news of this game, of the NFL Sunday, was all the injuries. It was just insane, all the names that were going down yesterday on the injury report. But I guess you could kind of point that towards not a real offseason, not a real training program, no preseason. Maybe that's what we're seeing the effects of now. But moving into this game, the big news of the game, like I said, was Saquon Barkley going down, tearing his ACL, which is a huge blow for that team with an already weak offense as it is. But with that being said, the Giants did battle back in that game. They were within 4 points and were driving late, and they were all the way down to the Bears' 10-yard line, and Golden Tate was called for a push-off penalty on an incomplete pass as time expired. So it was kind of heartbreaking for them in multiple ways, I guess. On the other side of the ball, or on the other side of the field, Mitchell Trubisky, he had 2 touchdown passes yesterday. One on the opening drive, he hit David Montgomery for a 28-yard touchdown pass. Montgomery was the leading receiver with 45 yards, also had 82 yards rushing, proving he is back and fully healthy. The Bears' offense dominated in time of possession. The Bears' defense forced 2 turnovers, a strip sack recovered by Khalil Mack, one interception against all against the young offensive line. They had four sacks, which proved to be problems for Daniel Jones. Moving on to the Packers and the Lions. Packers had another great game yesterday. They seem like they're playing with chips on their shoulder. This week it was Aaron Jones that dominated, scoring 3 touchdowns, rushing for a career high 168 yards with 2 touchdowns and catching 4 passes for 68 yards and a touchdown. Both were team highs. He also did the Lambeau Leap without fans, so that was pretty interesting. Aaron Rodgers didn't have that 47-point performance like he did in week 1, but still had a great game. He threw for 240 and 2 touchdowns. The Packers defense struggled in the beginning, giving up touchdowns to the Lions on their first 2 drives, which made 5 consecutive drives for the Packers defense, giving up touchdowns going back to last week. And speaking of the Lions did it again. After blowing a 17-point fourth quarter lead last week, they blew a 11-point lead this week. And with that being said, the Lions are the first team in history to blow double-digit leads in 4 consecutive games to lose the game. Man, it's like when you think of the Lions, like you almost think of the curse that the Chicago Cubs had for 100 and something years before they finally won something.
How much talent have they wasted? Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders. I mean, it's just sickening. It's sickening.
Yeah, it really is. It just I don't understand it. It's like they always have some pretty good talent. They just can't never get over that hump for some reason. But moving on to the 49ers and the Jets, another game that was riddled with injuries. The 49ers had the injury bug for sure yesterday, they lost Jimmy G to a high ankle sprain, Mostert to a knee injury. Also, they lost the backup, Tevin Coleman, and they're both expected to miss multiple weeks. Nick Bosa was carted off the field. They believe he has torn his ACL. Solomon Thomas was also carted off the field 2 plays later. So, game filled with injuries for them. But they still managed to get the win pretty easily against the Jets, which anytime you're going up against the Jets right now, it seems like that is pretty easy to do, no matter who you have on the field. Mostert, though, he did start the game with an 80-yard touchdown on the first play. Jordan Reed, a guy I talked about yesterday when we did our Sunday predictions, that I thought he would step up in the absence of George Kittle, and that he did. He ended up with 2 touchdowns yesterday, getting him in the top 5 for tight ends this week.
Jordan Reed's always been a good tight end. He's just had concussion issues. If that's the same Jordan Reed I'm thinking of. So.
As far as the Jets go, the Jets just look like the Jets. That's about all you can say. It's almost like they just seem lost on the field at times, like they don't even really know what's really going on. But like I said, the 49ers won that one pretty easily. Moving on to the Rams and the Eagles. Jared Goff threw 3 touchdowns to Tyler Higbee, another guy that I really liked yesterday in our predictions. Goff was 20 of 27 with 267, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. In these first 2 games, he's kind of looking like Jared Goff of old when they made the Super Bowl run. And me personally, for me to be saying that is saying something, because I'm not a Jared Goff fan, to be honest. Not that he's a bad quarterback. I just don't think I think he's overrated personally. But Darrell Henderson Jr. led the rushing attack in that game with 81 yards and a touchdown. Another injury in that one, Cam Akers. I know you hate to hear this, but he did injure his ribs, and they are awaiting X-rays to see how long he will miss. Cooper Kupp led the receivers in terms of yards with 81. The Rams defense forced 3 turnovers in this game. And my favorite part of this Rams and Eagles game, I would like to personally thank Carson Wentz for making me look like a genius with the statement that I made a few weeks ago of him being way overrated. But yeah, Carson Wentz threw 2 more interceptions this week, totaling 4 for the year. And according to ESPN, a QBR of 27.9 for the year so far.
Man, week one, Fitzpatrick had a QBR or a completion percent or whatever of 44. So I didn't think it could get any worse, but Carson Wentz definitely showed that he can beat somebody in something.
Yeah, I can't thank him enough for making me look better. But Miles Sanders, he was back and pretty much the bright spot for the Eagles in this game. He had 95 yards on the ground, 36 receiving. So it looks like he's back and healthy. The Eagles defense allowed 9.2 yards per pass and 4.9 yards per carry. So not a great game for them. Moving on to the Panthers and the Buccaneers. Brady he had an okay day. Not what we're used to seeing from Brady, but they did get the win. That is something we're used to seeing from Brady. The surprise in that game for me, and I'm sure a lot of people, Leonard Fournette, he came in 12 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns with an average of 8.6 yards per carry, which ranked number 2 this week as far as yards per carry behind Aaron Jones.
I would expect Ronald Jones to take over. And he started to, but then Leonard Fournette just came out of nowhere.
And he's always been a guy that showed flashes, but
his injuries, and he had terrible line, and he played for the Jags, who are dumpster fire of a divisional team. So, but I'm biased, obviously. But.
Yeah. He just never has been able to consistently do it. So we'll see how it goes now that he's in a new place. So, Mike Evans had 7 catches for 104 yards, so he's looking healthy again. The Bucs defense forced 4 turnovers. So again, their defense basically carried them again this week. So Teddy Bridgewater threw for 367, but had 2 interceptions and one fumble in this one. Another guy that was a pretty big name that was injured yesterday, Christian McCaffrey. He still had 59 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the reports I was reading is he has a high ankle sprain, I believe it is, and it's going to. They said he would be out a minimum of 3 weeks, if not more. So, pretty big blow for their offense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kerfuffle.
Yeah, kerfuffle.
Shout out to Chad. Watch our wrestling show. That's our term for damn.
DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson both had great games yesterday. That makes two great games for Robbie Anderson. So looking like he's fitting in pretty good in that offense. They both had over 100 yards yesterday. So the Panthers defense forced 2 turnovers, both by Brady, 1 interception and 1 fumble. So hopefully Brady can get it turned around. Him being the GOAT, and if you really know me, you know I've never been a fan of Brady, but you can't take away what he's done. So I do hope he gets it turned around and has a good season. I don't want to see him go out that, the guy that should have retired the year before, but hopefully he can get it turned around. Moving on to the Cardinals and the Washington football team. Kyler Murray picked right up where he left off from week 1. He threw for 286, a touchdown, and ran for 67 and 2 touchdowns. Looking like another Lamar or Michael Vick over in Arizona.
Faster, which is even crazy.
Yeah. I seen a report that or an interview he did, and he said once he breaks the pocket, he scans the field and watches his blocks, how they set up, and then he said anytime he gets one-on-one with anybody, he likes his chances. So, and I like his chances too. So
Man, I can only imagine what it's like standing in front of him trying to tackle him, because on TV he looks so fast and so damn quick. He has such a low center of gravity, so he's able to shift on a dime. Oh my gosh! Like Lamar Jackson is the hardest at running and at like just being limp at the right times to roll off of people. But Kyler Murray is just like, he runs on a different level, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you mentioned him being his low center of gravity. A lot of people mention like that would be his downfall, him being so short and so small. And
because see over big ass line, he's always rolling out to scan the whole field. So
and that's that in my opinion is what separates him from a lot of quarterbacks, because not everybody can roll out and throw on the run like that. And when you roll out and you're out of the pocket and they know you can run, that creates a whole new problem for the defense.
So, bring the defense up and your receivers go back, and then that's when so as long as you got an arm like Patrick Mahomes, if you can scramble all day outside the pocket, because he does. Like him and Patty, they come from baseball backgrounds. I mean, it seems to be a trend with those people that they can.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. Once they get scrambling, it used to be a cardinal sin to throw A, off your back foot, and B, across your body to the other side of the field. Nowadays, these dudes, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Kyler Murray, their arms are so strong. Like they can run to one sideline and turn and twist their body midair and just chuck it to the other side of the field. Like no problem. It's ridiculous.
Patrick Mahomes don't even look sometimes, and he just throws it right. He's making basketball passes with a football. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous how athletic and how great this just people are getting over the years. Like athletes are how they're evolving. It's insane.
Yeah. We do have a question. Is that a guitar in John's room?
It is. It's a badly tuned guitar, but it is definitely a guitar. There's also some bubble wrap. I got some pops in the corner. I'm a big pop collector. That's actually my duplicates. If you saw my actual pop room, you'd go crazy. So pardon the mess. I'm working on trying to make a better studio environment, but right now I'm just working with what I got. So but that is a guitar. Badly tuned, but it is.
All right. Kenyon Drake, he had 86 yards yesterday. People were wondering how he was going to do this year, or if those games with the Cardinals last year were a fluke. I don't think they were a fluke, but I don't think he will have those type of games all the time, just because of the fact that Kyler Murray can run so much. I think it'll take away from his running, but I don't think his games were flukes by any means. Hopkins, he had 8 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. The Cardinals defense kept rushing out of the end zone until the fourth quarter. Yes, how about them Cowboys? I'm getting to that. Don't worry. I'm saving the best for last, Brandon.
You just made his day, Brandon.
Haskins finished with 223 yards and a touchdown. Again, no turnover for him, I don't believe. I know he didn't throw an interception. I'm not sure about a fumble, but he is playing pretty efficient for them, although it didn't lead to a win this week. But they were going against a pretty high-powered Cardinals team. Terry McLaurin was the bright spot for I almost said their old name, the Washington football team, with 7 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. The defense coming off an 8-sack performance last week against the Eagles for Brandon. Had 3 sacks this week, and I think that has a lot to do with Murray's mobility. They just couldn't get there in time. Like I said, I am going to say the the best game for last. I'm going to move on to the Patriots and the Seahawks. Cam Newton racked up 397 yards passing and one touchdown and one interception while leading the team in rushing with 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. Julian Edelman had a great night with 8 catches for 179 while battling a knee injury. Hate to see him fully healthy. The Patriots battled back, but came up short on a run by Cam Newton at the goal line. He was upended, turned to flip, and that was how time expired. And the Seattle defense was pretty pumped about that one. Russell Wilson is the clear front runner, in my opinion, for MVP right now.
Called it at the beginning of the season.
Yes, you did do that. He added 5 more touchdown passes last night for a total of 9 on the year, along with 610 passing yards. Chris Carson had 72 yards rushing and 36 receiving and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, he did something that you don't see a lot of receivers do to Gilmore last night, and he had him on his heels all night. With his size and his speed, it was almost like Gilmore was scared to go up against him.
I doubt it, dude. He's beast. He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a different breed of receiver for sure. He had 92 yards and a touchdown. The defense.
Dude, I'm so sick. I had him on my bench. He scored 47 points for my bench.
Who did?
DK.
Really?
One of the PPR leagues, like we have a little bit higher scoring setups, but so like we get points for big plays and stuff. Yeah, so he ended up sitting on my bench, but scoring 47 points. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I have him in our league, so I was pretty impressed. The Seahawks defense did step up with a goal line stand, as I said before, to seal that victory.
I'm going to have to hit you up with a trade after the show is over with.
Now, for the best game of I don't know about the best game. My personal best game. It was scary.
You deserve it. I'll let you have it. The best game, the game of the week. Greg Gillette.
It was kind of disheartening in the first quarter. I'm not gonna lie. But being a Cowboys fan, we've been through some things, haven't we, Brendan? We still stuck around. But the Falcons, I mean, literally dominated the Cowboys defense for like the majority of the game and still blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. I think we've seen that before somewhere, a few years ago.
They tend to do that.
Yeah, that's if they're doing anything, it's that for sure. But the Falcons, they got off to a hot start off 3 lost fumbles going to the Super Bowl. I sure hope so. I'm right there with you.
The Titans at the ship, I can tell you that. We'll see you there.
The Falcons did start off hot, though, with off of 3 lost fumbles from the Cowboys in the first quarter that put them up 20-0 after the first quarter. Matt Ryan threw 4 touchdown passes. Calvin Ridley, another 100-yard game for him and 2 touchdowns. And surprisingly, Julio Jones only had 2 catches for 25 yards in that game.
Crazy. Julio doesn't really score. He's like out of the biggest receivers in the NFL, he scores the least. So, and you can check his stat lines for touchdowns. When Julio has his games, it's because of catches and yards most of the time. So when he struggles with his targets and catches, you're going to get a bad game from Julio because he's not saving you with touchdowns for whatever reason. That's just how that's been his MO. That's why Calvin Ridley takes over the games because he scores touchdowns somehow. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Brennan, I've probably said that just as many times in the last 20 years. Me, you, Ricky, and pretty much any Cowboy fan. We're going to Super Bowl every year, regardless of how we are as a team.
Too, man. I feel you. I'm in the same boat. We're number 1 every year.
Yeah. But yes, our defense does kind of stink right now. I ain't gonna lie.
It shouldn't though. That's what's so frustrating.
Yeah, well, we do know we can score points. If we could just stop somebody now, that would help out a whole lot. But moving on. Oh, Hunter Hurst or Hayden Hurst, my bad, was second on the team. Hunter Hurst Hemsley. No, I'm just kidding.
Double H.
Triple H was second on the team yesterday with 72 yards, a touchdown. No, that was a guy I really liked in the preseason. Or well, we didn't have a preseason, but pre-draft, I liked that guy. Yeah. Me and you talked about him. I think, like we said, he was in the shadow of Andrews in Baltimore, and
he just kept having an injury he couldn't get over. So, and Andrews wanted to just beat him out. So, he's super talented. He was amazing at South Carolina,
and he had a pretty good game yesterday against the Cowboys. It was bittersweet because I do have him and I did start him, but but you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. On the Cowboys, Dak became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 400 yards and rush for 3 touchdowns in the same game.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. I think he ended up with like 450, I think, in a touchdown.
That's fantasy too, because you get like he had the one passing touchdown, but you get best of both worlds. You get all of his passing stats, and then three-fourths of his touchdowns were rushing, so you got 6 points instead of 4 for the passing. So you got the ultimate points just about for to get. And
I think he ended up with about 30 yards rushing too, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
He's the leading quarterback for sure this week in fantasy.
For sure. Though they were down 20, Dallas never really gave up, battled its way back literally till the last second of the game. CeeDee Lamb, he had a nice day with 106 yards.
Beautiful catch at the end. Beautiful catch.
Yeah, that is what that 25-yard catch is what set up the game-winning field goal in the final minutes. Cooper also had a nice grab where he one-handed it, tipped it back to himself, and then caught it.
That's exactly why they signed that man.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing. Zeke ended the game with 122 total yards and a touchdown. And the thing everybody I think was talking about was the onside kick that Greg the Leg Zuerlein kicked. He did it without a tee. I don't think I've ever seen that done in the NFL. And it almost seemed like the Falcons didn't know what, they were confused. They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to do.
Literally 5 Falcons players got surrounded by 3 Cowboys players, and then they just didn't know what to do. They could have at any moment, Julio Jones or any of them could have just fallen on it or picked it up and ran. I mean, or whatever. Yeah. They could, as soon as the ball crosses 1 yard at least or something, the receiving team can touch it. I don't know what they were waiting for, but I guess they were just mesmerized or didn't know if that was legal, or they were just when in doubt, jump on the football. If you ever played football, they always say when in doubt, just jump on the ball and figure it out later. I mean, but they just it was.
I mean, I've never seen it, so I'm sure they were like, what the hell is going on out here? But Brandon, yes, I do think CeeDee Lamb will be a great receiver for years to come. I really do. I think, and I may be a little biased, but I do think he was the steal of the draft at that point of the draft. I never saw him falling that far. I didn't see Ruggs being the first receiver off the board, or Judy.
Yeah, but, I mean, speaking from a non-Cowboy fan, I've been really impressed with CD as well. I think he's totally up there with the caliber of Judy and Henry Ruggs or Harry, is it Henry Ruggs? Whatever. They were, all three of them are really, really impressing me on how quick they are, how great they are at their routes, and how soft their hands are. Well, Judy he's had some drop issues week one, but other than that, they all look really crisp and really fast. I enjoy them. Oh, I wouldn't worry about his size, as long as he knows how to use it. I mean, it works both ways. Big guys like Calvin Johnson, they know how to work if they know how to take care of their body. And like Emmitt Smith played for so long because he knew how to avoid big hits. He knew when to get down and when to stop. And same thing with Calvin Johnson. Like, he knew how to take care of his big body and how to come down and play his position. And just smaller people like Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. I thought Christian McCaffrey would be broken in half by now, but he's so small and he gets used like 100 times a game. But he's still like, occasionally he'll get ankle sprains and stuff. But other than that, it's nothing really traumatic. It's just knowing how to take care of yourself and knowing what you can do with your body. And I think he's a good enough athlete, and he seems, from what I saw in the game, a smart enough player to know that. So,
and we talked about CD and Amari Cooper, but I don't want to forget Michael Gallup. He made a hell of a catch on the sideline.
Sure.
And it's going to sound biased, but I mean, the numbers that they're putting up, I mean, it's out there. But their receiving core they got to be one of the top receiving cores in the league.
They have at least 3 number ones. I mean, if CD keeps playing how he keeps playing with Amari, Galladay, and CD, they could all go to any team in the NFL just about and be a number one receiver over there.
Yeah, I agree, Brendan. Just like Alvin Kamara, he gets like some of the craziest hits, and he just pops right back up like it's like nothing ever happened. And
it's all on how to take them.
Yeah. Personal opinion, I think Alvin Kamara should have been the starter the entire time he was at Tennessee over Hurd, but that's just personal opinion.
Jalen ran straight up, it seemed like.
Yeah, and I mean, that he was just so big in high school that like he just manhandled everybody. Like nobody could take him down, and I mean it worked great. And he was even good at Tennessee, but I think he made the right move by switching positions. To be honest, I don't think he would have been a great running back in the NFL. Brandon said, "Bruh."
Bruh. All right, man. So, is there anything else about the Cowboys game you want to talk about, or are we going to move on to our top fives?
We can move on to top fives.
All righty.
You have them, or you need me to?
Either way, if you got them written down, you go for it. If not,
all right. Top 5 for quarterbacks this week. Dak Prescott with a 41.8, according to PFF, 41.8. Cam Newton came in at number 2 with 35.6. Josh Allen, 34.5. Russell Wilson, 34.4. Kyler Murray rounds off the top 5 with a 33.1.
Nice.
Moving on to running backs, Aaron Jones, 45.6. That's insane. Number 2, Leonard Fournette, guy we talked about earlier. That was a big surprise, 27.6. Number 3, Nick Chubb, 26.3. A guy you called that one on Thursday night.
That's what we we take big shots and we follow through on here. I'm gonna eat
Thank
those
you
words.
for the. She said we have. My wife said we have a nice layout tonight.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate
it. Despite getting injured, Christian McCaffrey still made the top 5 with a 24.8. Zeke made is the number 5 running back with 24.2. Receivers, number 1 is Calvin Ridley, 29.9. Number 2, Stephon Diggs, a guy you talked about earlier with Allen.
He made a great
29.3.
Great sideline cut.
Number 3 is Julian Edelman with 25.9.
Oh, that's
number 4, Terry McLaurin, 25.5. Number 5, Mike Evans with a 23.4. Man, Terry McLaurin, I hope that they can get some stuff there in Washington around him because he's
surprising the hell out of me. And Dwayne Haskins surprisingly playing good too. And now they got Chase Young, who's supposed to be produced. I mean, he's looking good so far. Like, I think they actually might in like 3 years have this Washington football team turned around into something. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't agree with them cutting AP because now their running game is like it's not there at all, really. That's what they're lacking to help Haskins. Like they're one-dimensional right now.
I'd keep AP just for his knowledge. Like it's like signing I'm terrible with names. But Eric Berry, the safety for the Chiefs. It's like signing him to a team or something. Like a lot of people don't want to take a chance on him because of his cancer and his injuries and stuff like that. But he's worth a few million just to have on your roster to teach your other guys what he knows. Like, yeah. I mean, there's some players that are worth their weight in knowledge.
Jerry Jones, go get him, please.
Right, for sure.
Eric Reed, Barry, even Thomas. Like,
yeah,
he got in the fight, and I'm sure there's other stuff that happened. But I just seen a post the other day that Julian Edelman and Gilmore got in a fight in practice. I mean, neither one of those guys got cut, so I don't know.
I think they were just
football. Like fights happen at every level, kids included. Like it happens.
I think they were just looking for a reason to not pay him.
Yeah. But okay, moving on. Tight ends. Tyler Higbee came in at number 1, 28.4. A guy you really like out of Miami, Mike Gesicki, 27 points at number 2. Another guy that you really like at number 3, Johnny Smith, with 24.4. At number 4 is Travis Kelce with 24, and at number 5, technically tied with number 4, is Jordan Reed with 24 points.
I'm glad to see Jordan Reed back in fantasy relevance. It's good. He's been prone with bad concussions for a long time. Good. Glad to see him doing well for himself again.
He was in Washington, wasn't he? That's where he came from, right? Now they have Logan Thomas.
Yeah, they cut him because he had like 5, not 5, probably exaggerating, but like 5 straight years. He like had concussions. He was on like his last one, and he'd have almost I think they were going to force him to retire. And then Redskins cut him or let him go or whatever. But I'm glad to see that he's able to do it. I cringe every time I see him get hit, though. I hope these new helmets are really going to make progress and help someone like him. So, anyway.
Defense and special teams. Number 1 is the Indianapolis Colts, 15 points. 2 is Baltimore Ravens with 15 points, technically tied for number 1. Number 3 is the Buccaneers at 14 points. Number 4 is the Steelers at 13 points. And finishing out the top 5 is the Green Bay Packers with 12 points.
Nice.
Brandon,
nice.
If you're still on here, what do you think about Alden Smith's play so far? I think he's doing amazing.
I think it is great to have Alden Smith back for you guys. Now you just got to put it all together. Is Brandon still here? Did he leave us?
I don't know. I believe so. Yeah, that's.
You disappoint me, Brandon. You make me cry. You make me cry.
That is the top 5s for this week.
Oh, wait, he's back.
Too legit to quit.
My man. All right, cool. Well,
yeah, I don't know if you heard me, Brandon, but yeah, what do you think about Alden Smith's play so far this season for the Cowboys? You have anything else while we wait to see if he responds? Real deal.
Holyfield. Yeah, for real. I agree with that.
Yeah, it was never about his play in any place he's been at. He was a monster, but his off the field issues.
I think the relax marijuana definitely helped his career for sure.
30-second delay, he said. All right. Well, that's all I have. I don't know if you have anything else.
No, that's all I have. I believe our next show is going to be, since we did the recap and the Monday night preview, our next show is going to be on Thursday. We're going to go live again like we usually do. We are going to preview the Thursday night matchup, and then we will see you guys again on Sunday morning for the Sunday nights or the Sunday slate matchup, and then again on Sunday again for our WWE episode that we do once a week. So that's usually how the schedule works. So as always, we'll see you next time. This time it'll be on Thursday, and come with us if you want to win.
Yes, and in the words of a great philosopher, Jimmy Johnson. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? Tighten up. All right. Peace, guys. See you.